Hope is great when it comes to miracles. Belief is great when it comes to the tooth fairy. But neither hope nor belief should guide the making of our public policy or the guiding of how the nation or the state of Minnesota enacts laws. The making of good public policy, the making of good law should be based upon facts and evidence that regarding what we know what works and not what does not work. Daniel Patrick Moynihan, former U.S. Senator, once said that while everybody should be entitled to their own opinion, not everybody should be entitled to their own facts. And that instead, what we need to be thinking about is how to recreate a political environment, how to recreate a way of structuring a government where it is based upon what? Upon facts and upon reason and not upon what? Hope and belief. Elected officials, including people in this building, often enact failed laws and are captured by political myths. There is a pack mentality oftentimes that structures legislators who turn to trendy and untested ideas and the need for quick fix solutions in order to make it look like they are doing something, especially as elections approach, or to appease sometimes special interest groups. Many elected officials we know are part-time, limited knowledge, expertise, and ability to gather critical information necessary to make good decisions. Additionally, the power of money in politics, partisanship, special interests, religion, and sometimes ideology or even blindness, oftentimes willful to the facts, often means what happens? We recycle oftentimes failed public policy ideas, and they come back again and again, almost like what? Voodoo ideas. In almost every aspect of our life, except perhaps in the Powerball, we are taught to act upon the best available evidence in making decisions. I don't know about you, but I was taught many years ago to what? When making good decisions in business, to making good decisions in my own private life, to use what? The best available evidence, to draw upon what we know and not to base our decisions upon what? Hope, upon belief, upon guess. However, one of the things that we see, and it's been the subject of my research for many years, is what I call a knowledge gap. A significant knowledge gap between what do we actually know that works, or more importantly, what do we know that doesn't work, versus what do we enact. I want to tell a wonderful story. Many, many years ago, when Tim Pawlenty was elected as governor, he proposed something called Job Z. Some of you might know that. It was an enterprise zone idea. And at the time, Carrie Miller was still with Care 11. And I called Carrie Miller up and I said, you got to do a story about Job Z and why it's going to fail. And she says, how do you know it's going to fail? And I said, I used to be a director of code enforcement, a housing and economic planner. I teach planning and economic development. The evidence is overwhelming. It's going to fail. And the legislature passed it. But I still remember telling Carrie Miller, I said in the interview, I forced her to do it. I said, it's going to fail, and in 5 years, someone's going to do a study and talk about why it failed. 5 years to the day, the Office of the Legislative Auditor did a study and said what? It failed miserably. And the point that I'm getting at here is that we do that all the time here. We do that in Washington. We recycle bad ideas. We come back and talk about things that are not what? Social science or scientific or from what? Trial and error experimented upon, of which we've learned something. And I'm not claiming that social scientists or scientists should be legislators. I think I would be horrible at it. But what I am saying is that even if we don't know what the right solution is, we've already learned oftentimes what things don't work and what things are going to fail. And part of my plea today is to say, how do we create a political environment where it's not what? Alternative facts. Where it's not false facts. It's not what? It's not that hope. It's not that belief that's driving public policy. It's about fostering and creating the conditions that many of us support in this room where we can make better public policy. I want to point out, though, that neither of the parties are exempt from this. Back in 2012, I still like to quote John Huntsman. John Huntsman, who was running for the Republican Party nomination for president. And he spoke right after Michelle Bachmann had spoken about something. I can't remember what she was talking about. And Huntsman looks at Michelle Bachmann in the eye, looks at the camera in the eye, and says, listen, when you make comments that fly in the face of science, when you make comments that fly in the face of what 98 out of 100 climate scientists have said, when you call into question science or evolution, all I'm saying is, in order for the Republican Party to win, you can't run away from science. Huntsman got it dead right. But I also want to point out that Democrats are sometimes guilty of falling to this trap too. We have enormous evidence, for example, that things such as what? Tax subsidies for public stadiums. Enormous evidence that tax breaks for corporations are one of the least efficient, worst ways of helping the economy. But yet, nonetheless, we see oftentimes big city Democrats or see others, embracing those as quick fix solutions to be able to do things. And all I want to get to, all I want to establish here, is that no party seems to have a monopoly on stupidity. No party seems to be in a position where they are rising to that level of science, rising to that level of reason. And as I mentioned to you, partly in the beginning here, my talk, it's about what? It's not just about religion that corrupts it. It's about what? The role of money in politics. It's about ideology. It's about what? About all other kinds of factors that come to play that corrupt our political process. And where I want us to end our talk is a warning to be careful about. We're in the middle of already the 2020 election season. We're going to hear candidates trotting out ideas, oftentimes ideas that have been repeatedly tried, repeatedly failed, and they're going to bring them out again. Remember, there's that old adage that said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? Well, think of it here. The definition of public policy insanity is doing the same thing over and over again that has failed and expecting a different result. So think about that as we go into 2020. Think about what are the things that we need to do. It's not just in terms of talking more about reason. It's talking about what? Building the structures, the institutions, the capacity for people like, Representative Dean to be able to do what? To do the right thing. He needs help. John Marty needs help. They need the support to build the institutions, the public opinion of the process. And that's what I want to leave you with, is that it's not just about saying, let's all reason together. It's about capacity building so that what? So that we can do good things. And remember, the government has done many good things in the past. I hate to have us walk away and not think of the fact that what? Contrary to some people, we actually did put a man on the moon. Remember a fact that we've done things like at one time eradicated polio. At one point, we built a major infrastructure system in this country. Government can do good things, but it takes building the capacity to do that. Thank you.